Hola, bienvenidos. Mi nombre es Vanessa Codorniu. My name is Vanessa Codorniu, and today I'm with Wallace McKelvey, a director, a writer, an actor, an improviser, and mi querido amigo, my dear friend. I'm so excited for the conversation we're going to have. I can't even read it in the cards because I don't even know what it's going to be about, but I'm excited.
We have no script,
No.
but I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for being here.
We went out, we had dinner, and now we're back and we're just sitting down because both of us have gotten away from our podcast for a little bit. For many reasons. One of them was Fringe Festival.
Yes, oh my God, Fringe.
Which you are one of the stars of River City Stories.
Yes.
The soon-to-be feature film that me and a bunch of my very talented friends have been working on. But in addition to that, you had 50 gazillion other shows?
So I did a total of 11, and I worked with 5 groups and did 2 shows with each. But then a team that I coached asked me to be a guest. So I stepped in, so that was the 11th. And it was amazing. And I don't think I'll do it again, but I really loved it. I mean, there was one where, I literally ran one day from My Name is Cinderella, beautiful, by Josh Dorschmeyer, and ran to go see the movie I was in because I was like, I can't miss it.
Yeah.
And then ran to go to the Offbeats. It was like, and then ran into the bathroom.
Actually, yeah. I'm going to ask you to run your hand through your hair.
Okay.
To get it off the microphone.
And I ran through the microphone in the hair. So I ran from My Name is Cinderella to go see River City Stories, which I didn't even have a moment to really absorb. And then I had to run to go sing in the Offbeats. And then I ran to pee and change my shirt to do Los Complicados. So that was a day.
That was a day.
But I was happy.
I had a little experience like that myself because I was helping to stage manage Cinderella the one day, and simultaneously River City Stories was happening, and we had the Offbeats,
yes.
And on top of that, I got a random call from our friend Maria, who was like, "Hey, you're gonna be in Blackest Thing Ever, right?" Which we had talked about it very briefly, probably a month or so before then, and it's one of those honest miscommunications that I think we all experience from time to time, where she didn't follow up and confirm that yes, you were going to be there. So I was kind of like, okay, I had a soft commitment, but I haven't heard back, so maybe they found a replacement for me.
Right.
No. So, 20 minutes before the show, I get a text message like, "Hey, you're on your way, right?" Yes, yes, I am.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I don't know what is it. Why do you think that we choose to be as busy as we are? Not to be too navel-gazing about it.
No, but I love that you asked that question because I was thinking of something else, but we'll get to that later maybe. So I know for me, I'm a New Yorker. I was at art school, High School of the Arts, LaGuardia High School of the Arts. I was an art major. Not allowed to go into the singing and the acting because once you're in a path, you're in a path and you have to audition to get in. So you're stuck. You can't even be in a play in high school, right? Yeah. And then I went and studied at HB Studios. I went to NYU. I went to Marist College. I know that I worked so much in New York to survive. And I did direct plays and do things, but not to the level of what I wanted to do. So finally moving here, but I was always busy. I just like to do things. But when I got here and realized that, you can buy a house for less, not Queens or New York prices, that a lot of people around me actually get out of work at 5 or 6. In New York, they don't.
Yeah.
Sorry, my New Yorkers. And I was like, oh my God, here is a place where people actually, if they choose, cultivate their hobbies. So I think for me, it's a little bit of a smorgasbord.
Yeah.
But I've always been a busy person. And I also really because it feels like I'm alive. I feel alive.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that I don't feel alive when I'm quiet and I have nothing to do at home. I feel alive then too. But there's something about optimizing opportunities and possibilities. I feel like creative people, we have so many ideas and lives within our heads and our souls that we can't always live because we're in a body and the body can only be in one place at one time.
Yeah, ultimately, if you run yourself into the ground,
right,
you're not going to do anything.
Exactly.
And then it ends.
But I think that for me, I'm like, smorgasbord, let me have to taste it. And also I think maybe for you too, right, isn't now improv just a way of life?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think a lot of times when you sing or you dance or you perform, and you're an adult now, and you're adulting, you don't get to do that much.
Yeah.
But we're really lucky here. I feel lucky, but you do, where we get to be in a movie, or we get to be in a fringe show, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, where we get to be in an amazing play like Josh's, where we get to be in an amazing movie like yours. And you're like, why not? You know? So how about for you? Why do you like to be busy?
I mean, I get bored of doing the same thing.
Me too. I didn't say that.
I don't have just one thing that I'm interested in. Like my day job is journalism.
Yeah.
And I love what I'm doing, mentoring young reporters and putting out a daily newspaper and a constantly updating news website, and dealing with some really heavy stuff.
Yes.
Sometimes. Like it's important that we have shared truths and shared facts.
Yes.
And so I get a lot of satisfaction from that. But there's also a part of me, ever since I was a kid, I loved creativity. I loved writing. I loved telling stories. And there is a creative side to journalism, but it doesn't quite scratch the same itch that making a movie does for me.
Right.
So it's a weird contradiction, but I think all storytelling is at its core similar. Like it calls upon similar skill sets. However, it's a very different format, and I get different things from them.
I love that so much, and I'm also somebody that's also multi-passionate, and like I love my actual job, you know, where I get to do hypnosis or coach people or do readings for people, teach a class. Now I've been doing the improv-based leadership. I love that. I'm basically hired to make people happy, help people be happy, right? Because they're all like uptight like this, and suddenly I'm like, mini bunny, badada, you know, and they're like, what is that? Or pass the face, wow, they're not ready for that.
Which we should say, because who knows what my audience, what their background is, but bunny is a foundational exercise in improv comedy, where you want to get in sync with the other person.
And you're like going kunja, and when somebody has the bunny, there's tokis on the side.
Yes.
It's multi-level distraction.
It's a pyramid scheme.
Oh, yes.
Multi-level.
Oh, when I go to public schools in New York, the kids are like, Miss V, is this a cult?
It kind of is.
So
if you're an outsider looking at some of the warm-ups that improv comedy folks do, it kind of looks like a cult. Yeah. But it's a lovely cult.
It's a lovely cult if you have to be in one. There is no, what is that flavored water? There's no, not Gatorade, but something. You know those, unfortunate. It's a bad joke, but
LaCroix?
No, the flavored water that they handed out, unfortunately, in that cult where people drank it. Oh, there's no Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah, Kool-Aid.
There is no Kool-Aid. You must not drink the Kool-Aid.
You're thinking of Jim Jones.
Yes, so sad. So there is no Kool-Aid in this cult.
No,
we are free. We can have
there
LaCroix.
can be Kool-Aid.
There can be, but it's good.
But there's no poison in it.
No, there isn't. But I think like we were talking about this earlier, that in so many ways, you're working for yourself, you're mentoring people, you're in a position of respect, right? So am I, like with my students. I like that I can be really disrespectful and be an entity that sucks up other musicians, and then we're all singing, and when I was Lady Gaga, right?
Lady Gaga.
Yeah. Or I'm a dog peeing against a wall, lifting up my leg and then shaking it out. Or I'm a cat.
We've done some crazy things together on the improv stage.
Yeah.
And like improv is its own thing. I didn't even mention that, but like improv comedy for me is like play.
It is.
It takes me back to a childhood that a little bit of a dark thing, but I didn't quite get to be a child when I was a child.
Yeah.
For various family reasons, I was a parentified child who took on lots of responsibilities before I had to. And improv comedy helps me to be a fool, to act a fool with lots of really wonderful, warm-hearted people in a place where it is safe to do that.
Yes.
Like, you can act a fool and no one's going to judge you, and there's no thought about respectability.
No.
It's not even, it can be uproariously funny, and when we're doing a show, we do have an audience, a paying audience that is there to see you.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do want to be entertaining, but even in the context of some of our shows, we sometimes go into some heavy issues.
Yeah.
But in a way that is kind of light.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I love that you said that about, about childhood and, about me, like, I was going to say breastfeeding. No breastfeeding, but bottle feeding my siblings at like 11 and 12 and changing diapers.
Yeah.
And then guiding people.
You
in
had
business.
to take care of your siblings, and I had to take care of my parents.
Right. Right.
And yeah, that makes you grow up awfully fast.
Yeah. Or not to be allowed to go hang out with the kids, or you don't let yourself because you're like, no, the kids need me because my parents are fighting, Yeah. It's like, so what I like about it now is that, and I love this too, even though I love owning my own business, I'm not in charge of everything. In improv, you're not in charge. Yeah. It's not your agenda. You don't have to sit there and figure out a marketing plan for your business, right? You don't have to be like, I'm going to share it here, I'm going to share it there, what I'm going to do YouTube, I'm going to do that. You get to just show up. You don't know what's going to happen and nobody else does. Mm-hmm. But then you get to respond to each other and you're like, oh, I got the ball, I got the ball, I got your ball. And it just creates magic that you could have never planned for.
I really like that. I honestly, I hadn't thought of it that way before, but that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. In some ways, directing movies, being a filmmaker, it calls upon some of those skills that I developed as a child.
Wow.
Where I'm having to be in control of something. Like you've seen my shot lists.
Yes, I love it.
I leave a lot of room for grace and for surprises.
Right.
But prior to getting on set, I have a lot of things mapped out. If it's not mapped out on paper, like in my shot lists or on the script, it's mapped out up here.
Right.
Improv comedy, you learn the rules of some of the games.
Yeah.
So like it's not completely crazy banana pants.
No.
But it is a process of letting go.
Yeah. There was somebody who came who was a musician and a singer who came to see our show, and she was like, oh, I really like this story. Why didn't this one grow? I go, it just didn't. You know what I mean? Something else took over. But she's like, oh, but I thought it was so... I was like, but nobody's mourning it. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? I was like, and I think that also helps my creativity, at least, and probably yours and everybody's, that there's this continuation of constant ideas and characters that we take on and let go and take on and let go. That I know that I already had that flexibility in my personality. I'm sure you did too, because of the way you survived and lived and created your career. But I think it helps us even more.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we take on this reality. No, it was fun. We let it go. Oh, I take on this possibility. Oh, and then you're off the stage. And it's like, oh, I really love that show. And it also is gone now, unless somebody recorded it. And I really hated that show. And it's also gone now, right?
Yeah.
So it's either whether you like it or not, the moment is past and you get to come up and do something completely different.
And it is. It's kind of liberating to be on stage without a script. And you have to trust the people that you're on stage with, that, you're in it ride or die together for 22 or 45 or however many minutes you're up there. And you have to trust your teammates that, number one, they've got your back, which is another trope in improv comedy where before every show, we say, we got your back. But I think that's a really lovely thing, and I in some ways I've tried to carry some of that spirit, not the literal touching, but some of that spirit to my other professional realms, where I want to foster a place where people feel safe experimenting together, where it's acceptable to have little failures, to experiment, to see what works, and then adjust. Because that is kind of what improv comedy is all about. You experiment, you toss out ideas, the other person builds upon them, changes them, and you go in directions that you could not have predicted at the beginning.
And the thing is, the yes and part is so important, because if you are possessive of a thought or your agenda or your idea, it just doesn't work.
It's just bad improv.
It is bad improv. And, I talked to somebody today who said that they stopped doing improv a couple of years ago. And I said, why? And they're like, well, I felt like the people weren't mean or bad, but I didn't feel that they were up to the level, or they were this. Or and I was like, listen, then you're not really doing improv, because I said, everything that I've ever gone through on stage, I said, has actually taught me. And when I just created my one-woman show, I knew after I finished it, when I was on stage, I knew this. When I finished the show, I knew I couldn't have done the show that I did had I not been doing improv for so many years. I couldn't have done it, even if, you're talented, you're this, because the freedom that I felt in my body and in myself, and I was many characters, I didn't second guess myself. I improvised with the audience. That level of trust in myself and in the space and in the audience came because we've sang our hearts out to 3 people in the audience. We've sang to 35 people in the audience. I performed, you've performed in other teams. If I hadn't been through that, and I was telling somebody, I was like, I was in a cage match a couple of years ago, many years ago, maybe 8 years ago, with 2 people who were my first team ever. And it was just 3-on-3. And we were like, we weren't even Harold. We weren't in the Harold yet. We somehow signed up, and when we came out, the 2 people froze. And when they froze for quite a bit of minutes. I went into what I would normally was like try to help and try to like move forward, but I was alone. People weren't having my back, right? It was a long time ago. It was like 2017, 2018, early 2018. And they finally clicked, and as the show went on, we started to get better and better. And when we stepped off, the people who competed against us were like old hat. They'd been doing this for 10 years, and we're like baby improvisers. When I stepped out, I cried. I cried outside the Harrisburg Improv Theatre. And my 2 friends were hugging me. They're like, we're so sorry. We froze. We don't know what happened to us. We don't know. And, and then I dried my tears. But I was crying because I was embarrassed to suck. But guess what? That didn't stop me. I kept coming back. back. And those are things that I think we have to be okay with. And sometimes we're raised to be ashamed of things that don't work.
Yeah.
But all the things that don't work lead us, as you said, to things that do work. And so I was talking about that to somebody. I was like, listen. And they're like, wow, I gave up improv. But I said, and then, this happened, or I played with this person or that. And sometimes it's rough. Sometimes they're not listening. Sometimes they're nervous. But it doesn't matter, because you learn to play with everyone. You learn to say yes and to everybody.
And I think there's a great metaphor just for life in that. Because... let's face it, life will throw you curveballs.
Honey.
And if you're not prepared, like some of these things you can't you can't prepare for it. Like you just can't. Losing a job, losing a love, losing a family member. All these things in life, like you think you're prepared for them, and then they happen, and you suddenly are forced to improvise. You're forced to find a way through that pain, that process. And some people get irreparably changed, sometimes for the worse, going through that process. I honestly, I have recommended improv comedy to some of my friends, especially when they're dealing with some heavy stuff, because it's like, it teaches you other lessons that are applicable no matter where you go and what you do. It's a microcosm for life. I think.
I agree. And I think that we're so hard on ourselves in general in life. And that's why I cried. I didn't feel bad that they couldn't, like, I knew that they're good people, and it was weird. Like, we never would have imagined.
Yeah,
but-
was this like one of your first shows?
Yeah. It was like early 2018. It was
Yeah.
it was a match. It was a cage match. So it was 3 people against 3 people. And people had to vote through clapping. So can you imagine? I'm like, yo, I'm starting out fresh.
Oh wait,
I'm
how
from
does
Queens.
that work for improv?
Yeah, so they do that in Baltimore and other places. They do cage matches.
I've never encountered that.
They've never done it here since then, right? So I think it.
That feels odd. That feels like a kind of weird way to do improv, because I don't think of improv as competitive.
I know, but people were cheering. That's how you win. So if you have friends in the audience, I was a newbie. But no, but it was bad. And then I felt like I was shamed in front of the whole school. But we got better as we went along.
Yeah.
But it was okay. But I just had to cry to release. And my friends hugged me. And we all hugged each other. And we stayed together for a while. We did like a year or so of shows together, actually more. But I got over it.
Yeah.
I got over it. So I sucked. So it sucked for a while. I mean, we got better as it went on, but it started sucky. We were newbies. Who cares? You keep coming back. And that's where you can transfer it to our everyday life. I think that it's a way to dance with the unknown in a safe environment. And I think that what it does for us is makes us, I don't want to say the word desensitized, because that's really not it. It just allows us to understand that so what? So we were humiliated in front of people, we were embarrassed. You didn't die, kid, but did you die? Like the guy says in the movie, but did you die? No, I didn't die. So now I laugh about it, and I forgot about it like soon after I got up on stage and did it again. But I don't feel that regularly for a long time. I feel really happy when I get off a stage now. I'm dancing and singing and having a ball. But it took that, like, you had to go through the gauntlet, to get to that other side.
Yeah.
So, have you ever had a moment of cringe in improv? Or?
Absolutely. If you don't have any moments of cringe, you're not doing it right. Of course, I can't remember specific ones. I probably blocked them out of my memory. In fact, that's kind of like, it's funny, for the Offbeats, one of the musical improv teams that we were on together.
Original members, hello.
Woo, woo. Woo, woo. Very, very often, like, somebody will mention something that we did on stage literally the night before, or like the last week. I don't know what it is, but I seldom remember specifics about the shows after they're done.
Oh wow!
It's like I'm like Dory in Finding Nemo. Like, once I'm off stage, I mean, some things obviously I remember very vividly.
Oh, the sponge. Okay.
The sponge.
Hello.
I still remember the sponge.
I knew. I was like, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it.
But like, specifics of the shows, very often it's like it goes. My dad had this saying, in one ear and out the other. And I don't know what it is, but it's like I go into this flow state on stage, and then once I'm out of it, zoop, it's gone like pixie dust.
Oh my God, I love it. So you're like channeling performance. So when I do readings, I forget a lot of it.
Yeah.
And then people show up 5 years later, they expect me to remember.
Oh gosh.
I'm like, it's been 5 years. I've talked to 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And sometimes some of it starts to come back because, but I find that it happens in the reading, that when I do a reading session, I read the person, it's so deep, it's so connected, and then I'm like, okay, Finding Nemo, Dory. But I do remember our shows, and I tend to remember, because there's so many of them now, that I tend to remember like the highlights, and I think about it in the sponge that we just talked about briefly. All I could see is me on my back with my legs in the air and saying that it was stuck inside of me. And I was like, I would have never done that 7 years ago. I would have never done that in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020.
Yeah, that is a great example of one of the moments that we've shared on stage. You could not have predicted that moment, even at the beginning of that show.
No.
I don't remember. So with the Offbeats, the premise of that show is we get 2 suggestions from the audience for movies that are diametrically opposed, and we turn them into musicals. We were inspired by these 2 films to make a new musical that is kind of vaguely inspired by both. We try to have a little bit of connection to reward the audience, to show that we took their suggestion, but we don't do a blow-by-blow of the plot, because Offbeats,
we're not for that.
We're an hour-long show, and movies are 2 hours long.
Yeah.
It's not possible to do a recreation, nor would it be fun or interesting.
No, we're not here to imitate
but I don't even remember what the movie prompts were
that
led us to that
I don't
scene.
remember that either.
Yeah.
Maybe something was high school.
Maybe? I don't know.
But I don't know either, but all I know is that in my mind I got a visual image of me with my legs up calling over Lisa, our friend, and being like, it's stuck inside me. And that's all I saw. It's stuck inside me. And then I was like, I went in my mother's drawer, and then you came out, I'm just a sponge. And then Lisa got me on the chairs. And because I was wearing a dress, which I usually don't wear on top of pants, you keep just seeing her hand like she's going inside. It's crazy. But that was crazy. Like people were videotaping me, and they were...
people were uproarious.
Yes.
That show, in addition to being quite memorable, was a hit.
I know. It was crazy. It was a hit. And they had all their cameras out at us. And I'm standing on chairs with a hand imaginary, and he's the sponge inside me singing. And I'm just singing your chorus at points and making a face because she's sticking her hand, I'm assuming, because I can't see. And they're all behind us making this movement.
Yes.
Yes. So it's like this magical coordination where we're reading each other's mind and jumping aboard without any argument or discussion. And that was a magical moment. Or even, I love, what was it, DeSantis' G-string?
Oh, gosh.
We were flinging imaginary G-strings. I know they're all blue today, but they're not always blue. And then I love the dancing vibrators, which were like 2 years ago, I think, by this time. Yeah. And I was the rabbit, by the way. I was, because I remember doing this, because it has a little thing. So, I saw that on Sex and the City.
As you can tell, the Offbeats, we get a little blue sometimes.
We do.
But also, part of the reason we do, it's never mean-spirited.
No.
It's never based in an angry, mean-spirited approach to it. I've definitely seen in some shows where they set out to be raunchy, but the raunch has a weird, sick,
like a cringe
undertone to it.
Yeah.
And with this group, it's just because we feel safe together. And we're able to be vulnerable and talk about some stuff that's deeply personal.
Well, I remember, so I think that the movie must have been about high school or something, because my brain went to Legs in the Air, because I had a friend that in high school had a sponge that was caught inside her. Her father was the only one home. It was not me. It wasn't me, because I'm scared of sponges. So my friend put a sponge up, really nice girl, and she had to go tell her dad at 16, I have to go to the hospital because the sponge is stuck inside me for 3 days.
That is...
She told us the story.
Mortifying.
She was like, oh my God, I had to tell my dad. Oh, she was like that. Very, she's very chappy. She had the silver lipstick, and she was like that. So in a minute, when I think it was a high school movie, so my mind went, sponge and stuck inside, legs in the air. Yeah. That's all I knew. It's just like a memory that clicked. And you don't know because you can't tell the whole story. You just know where the image of the whatever's starting, and then people are going to collaborate. But that was crazy and wild. But I love the one where you were the horse and we traveled to Scotland.
Yes.
That was years ago, by the way. But
I'm constantly being animals.
I love that.
Or objects on stage.
Oh my God, the shark was really cool.
I was
also
a shark.
With Dan.
Yeah.
And I love being the Slavic mermaid with Lisa. And she knew when she saw me do this, I was doing this movement. And I was whatever I called her, Verushka, come here, we talk now. She's like, I knew we were mermaids.
Yeah.
But we were terrible mermaids. Eating babies. Oh, okay, we're not going to get into that. But again, it's not mean-spirited. It's innocent. But I think it reminds me, I made up stuff with other people when I was little. I made up songs and I made up plays.
I did the same thing.
Right,
I did the same thing. Yeah. I remember I put on a little play in 2nd grade. I recruited some of my classmates to like do a play in the front of class.
Oh my God.
That was like original.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So good.
So yeah, no, like all this stuff, it is for me, and it's like a way to reconnect to a like a playful part of me.
Yeah.
That as adults, in many cases, like we're not allowed to.
No.
Like we're not given permission to be playful.
No. And I think, I teach level 1, so I get people who, there's all ages. It could be people who are 18, 19, but a lot of the people are people who are already established in their careers, right? Mm-hmm. And I always tell them, this is going to feel weird because you haven't really probably been given permission to be a puppy lifting your leg and shaking it after you've pissed in a corner. Imaginary, please don't. No, you're in allowed, right? And I'm like, and now you get to be here and you're like, is this right?
Yeah.
Some people, not all. Am I right? Is this right? What are the parameters? And so that's where I think it's more freeing. And I think it's been so healing for me, and I know for you too, and to have a group of people that you could do that with,
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember when I took level 1 class at the very beginning, I felt this pressure to be funny.
Right.
And once I kind of worked through that feeling like, oh, everything I say has to be funny, it made me a better improviser.
Yes.
When you're not trying to be funny, when you're just trying to connect with the people on stage, the wit that is just part of ourselves comes out.
Yeah. I love that, and it's true. And so I felt when I first came to improv, this is not going to work for me because I'm not funny. The only thing that I really knew about me being funny, because I've had to be serious. The serious older sister, the serious business owner, like I have to be respectable. This whole thing about grounded.
Yeah.
Grounded.
Yeah.
I take myself seriously in the work I do. Yeah. Right? And so it took a minute for me to click into, but I always loved characters. So it wasn't hard for me to throw on an accent and be a person or walk in a certain way or be a certain way. So that was easy. But back in the day with friends, I used to imitate their boyfriends when they broke up. Make them laugh. I'm like, hey girl, what's up? So I'd be imitating their tone of voice, how they talked, and I only pulled it out when they broke up. And I didn't even know I had it in me, but they were crying. I'm like, you didn't need that mofo anyway. Look at this. And then I do it, and they were like, oh my God! And I would make them laugh, and they never got insulted. They were in a place where they were crying. It was over. And I said, you want me to make you laugh? And I hadn't practiced it, but I noticed it just by watching them. And so there are friends who are like, when I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to call you and you have to imitate my 5 ex-boyfriends. So I have 2 requests. I'm like, I hope it's a long, long time ago and I'm coming in on a walker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a long time ago, a long time in the future.
Also, they're counting on you to remember something.
Hello, it's going to be hard.
If the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, we'll be like 60, 70, 80 years in the past.
Yes, honey. Yes, honey. I should memorize that shit now and be like, look at my cell phone, my ancient cell phone. Let me put my teeth
I
back
can't
in.
remember what I did yesterday.
Oh my God. Yes, it's true. I just imitated I saw a friend of mine a couple months ago and I imitated a guy from 10 years ago. She pissed in her pants. I'm like, but that's all I could deliver for now. We don't know what will happen in the future. But I didn't think I was funny. And I was like, I saw that there are people who are sarcastic. I'm not that sarcastic.
Sarcasm doesn't work in improv.
Right.
Unless the character that you're playing is sarcastic and you find a way to like undermine that character, it could be funny. But if you go into an improv setting and you are just being sarcastic, it just won't work.
Right.
Because sarcasm is based on putting distance between yourself and whatever you're talking about or whoever you're talking with.
Almost like you're talking at them anyway with sarcasm.
Yeah.
So I thought of humor as sarcasm. I thought of humor as shtick. But I love that you pointed that out, that it doesn't work.
And sarcasm is also like punching down.
Yes, it is.
It's elevating yourself above
and I've seen instances of it, by the way, in the improv world. Not too much, thank God, in theater.
Especially like when you first start. There were people in some of my first classes that leaned heavily onto like on that kind of like shtick.
Yeah.
It was shtick. It was more like stand-up comedy than improv comedy.
Yeah.
And it it doesn't quite work when you're, improv comedy, you have to be on a level playing field with your teammates.
Yes.
Otherwise, every scene is going to be about how much of a dick you are. And that gets boring.
And even when
fast.
we are dicks, like on our, like literal, no, I'm kidding. But even when we are all treating each other like we're the fabulous, most amazing, vibrating dick in the world. But I'm just saying, we literally, even when we did a little dance, we were these people. I love this one. Lisa and Hal were the algorithms that wanted to take over the earth. And they did a whole song that was fabulous. So then we were these two people on, what was it? On, was it the website where you make money?
See, remembering what you did
fans.
on the improv
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
We were
okay.
OnlyFans. And then you and I just hooked our little arms, just two people in the valley making porn. And we sang that. And then we were kicking and kicking. But we weren't judging ourselves.
No.
We weren't being, as you said, like weird and twisted. We were just two little happy people in the valley making porn. And then in the back, they're like, it was hilarious. I know it's blue today, but it's not always blue. Those are the funny things.
Those are the
today.
ones that are standing out to us in the moment.
Yeah, but Scotland wasn't like that. But that was fabulous. We traveled through time.
Yes.
And then there was
slow
slow
motion.
motion.
It was a time-traveling flying horse that I played in that one.
Yeah.
But the other part of it is like, and I think, this is a carry-on to the idea that like of sarcasm. But the moment you start thinking about how you look, that is lethal.
Oh my God.
I think it's lethal in most things that we do, but it's especially lethal in improv comedy because if you start worrying about, how do I look on stage right now?
Oh my God.
How is this coming across? Am I being funny enough? Do I look like a fool right now?
Two people like it.
Yeah, like
Are
that.
my double
that's
chins showing? So I will.
That's a recipe for disaster.
It is. I love that you brought it up, and I will say this as a Latina who was raised to like cross your legs. You can't sit like this, And now I'm putting my legs up in the air with a sponge stuck in my vajayjay, stuck in the vajayjay. That's a big leap, right? But that's how my dad would be like, cross your legs. Don't be like that. Don't chew with your mouth all the way. And I'd be like, ah. But I remember my first apartment where I ate salad with my hands.
Your parents are looking down on you while you've got your legs splayed.
Yes, they are. And they're like, that's my kid. That's my kid.
I'm proud of her.
I'm proud of her. She's liberated. But I remember my first apartment and me with my salad going, take that. But, I was in Manhattan. They were in Miami. And I'm like, I'm eating with my hands. But I was raised in that way to be a certain way. And so when I first went into acting in New York and studied that, I saw that most of the good actors weren't glamorous, in classes. I mean, they could be probably when they had makeup done.
Yeah.
But they were just down to earth. There was no makeup. Like New York actors are like, you got like your hair in a bun and you're showing up to class and you're becoming people. And
it's almost a rite of passage among like professional actors. If you're really a good actor, you disappear into the character.
Yes. Yes. And so when I first hit the stage and my husband took pictures, I was like, oh my God, I make the craziest faces. Oh my God, what is with, and like, or like.
Also, was this on like a camera phone?
Yeah.
Camera phones are the worst if
Yeah.
you're trying to take a photo of someone on stage.
It's
not flattering at all.
And you know what? And I'd be like, I don't want to put this picture. This is the early days because you're saying it's fatal. And then I went, I don't give a fuck. I was like, I looked at SNL. Yeah. Even the prettiest people look like when they're doing their role. And now I didn't care. And I mean, I would say, if you could try to do it from a higher level, I don't do it from the first row. But now I don't really give a shit. I post pictures where I don't think it's great because I don't care. I care about the feeling and the experience that I had.
Yeah, I doubt that Tina Fey or Amy Poehler, for example, they don't really care what they look like when they're in the middle of their performance. No.
And the less I care, the better it is.
Now, are they going to put makeup on and look nice before they go on stage? I'm sure. Yeah. But like from moment to moment, they don't care. No.
And recently somebody had said to me that that somebody else had put pictures online that they were upset with, that weren't cute enough. And I was like, you don't expect a person to take the pictures down, do you? Like, untag yourself if you don't like it, on Facebook or wherever it is. But that, it really bothered the person. But they're new, and I was like, I don't know. They're like, what should I do? I'm like, I mean, you could talk to them, but you should watch SNL, and you should watch, many other, sketch comedy. It ain't cute. We make faces. That's what happens. We're animated. That's why people laugh. We're like, and people are laughing at a face. I said, and that's part of our instrument. Like, it has to be flexible. It can't be botoxed completely. If it does, you just do a little bit, leave the rest so it can move. No, I'm kidding. But I'm just saying, like, but I love that you brought that up, because I think if you really want to be a good performer, a good actor, a good improviser, you have to forget.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just improv comedy. I think it's any kind of performance. If you're really in the character, you have to really strive not to think about, oh, do I look foolish?
Mm-hmm.
What do I look like right now?
Oh yeah.
Because it is fatal. It is fatal to that performance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So bringing that up too, you didn't get to see the one show, but you will. And so I come out, and it's like this song called Lineage, right? Because it's about ancestral trauma and healing that and breaking away from that. And the words and the ideas that have been held against women, like whore, bitch, crazy witch. And I come out with a veil, it's a silk, and then I start to dance, So I dance a little bit. I haven't danced in a long time. I used to belly dance. And I was like, for a minute, I'm like, you crazy girl? And I was like, girl, it's in your body. Come on, let's do that circle.
Yeah.
And I just did it. I didn't think about, is the upper arm flapping? I really didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I've come so far. It just.
Well, even in River City Stories, we talked about it.
Yeah,
like you knew what that role was
yeah.
and the places you would go, but I imagine when you were in bed, for example, you looked stunning.
Thank you.
You looked magnificent, but I imagine you weren't thinking about how.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't, and I only thought about it beforehand, and I did tell some friends, I'm like, and some of them I look great, and some of them I don't.
Yeah.
Because.
And that character, I mean, it tracks. There are moments when the character is trying to look her best.
She thinks great and fabulous.
And project an image.
Yes.
But we also, the whole point of that story, that segment of River City Stories is she's deeply unhappy. There's other things going on that are undermining the facade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, and I told people, I was like, some two close friends, I was like, girl, I'm going to look a little harsh. I go, but now I don't care anymore. And what I care about is that I want to be a good actor, and that I want to honor this writing, this beautiful writing that you did, and honor, like, what an incredible role to play, a middle-aged woman who's single and has her lovers and has her life. When we're not portrayed that, I mean, it's getting better in movies and in theaters, and I mean, and in film and TV shows, but it's still, I still feel that they are giving the roles to like a thin 20-year-old or whatever. There's more range now than like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But I was like, oh my God, what a great opportunity to show a woman with range, who has deep feelings, has stayed with the times with her, taking pictures all the time, but also cultivating her image. Yeah. And then actually she's not happy, but she's trying in her way. Yeah. So.
And there's a kind of grit to that character. Mm-hmm. Like I never write a character that I look down on.
Right.
I respect her. I respect what she's doing. I see it. Yeah. She's making the best she can from with the cards that she's been dealt. Yeah.
And I don't think you can play a character if you look down on them.
Yeah.
Like I really was like, I'm doing the best I can. You know what I mean? Yeah. And this is how I get what I want or not. But yeah, and I think it's an amazing journey when we've been told to look a certain way or act a certain way, or that we have to worry about how we look or how we perform, and then to go into improv or go into film or any type of acting and have to release it, right? So it could be such a healing process, because healing is releasing the layers of stuff that have happened to you, trauma, or the layers of society programming. And then to be our truly authentic selves, we have to release that. And in order to be a good artist, we have to.
And it's a practice too.
Yes.
Like, I'm curious, with your one-woman show, I think it was that when I was in Japan?
Yeah, it was September 7th.
Yeah, I was in Japan.
Yeah.
But, like, what was your routine prior to going on stage? Because, like, when you're doing a one-woman show, it is all on you.
Yes.
Like, that's a lot.
So I want to admit, the idea's been in my heart for a long time, like when I was a teenager. And then for 2-3 years, and it's been like, but first I'm going to do Cosmic Trash, we're going to do that. So finally I was like, that's it. I'm going to sign up for York Fringe. And then I got it.
Heck yeah.
I was going to cancel. You know I don't cancel shit, right? I really don't. Once I commit.
Yeah. When Vanessa commits to something, come hell or high water, it's going to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but I'm going to work it out, and I'm going to schedule that shit, and it's going to happen. And I'm going to tell the people I got to go because I have to go to something else. And I also, look within and see, is this, what is too much? But I'll say this. I scheduled it. I said, let me see if I get in. They got me in. And then I said, I think I'm going to have to cancel. I can't do this. I don't have enough time. I am terrified. I am terrified of failing. So it all came up. I am terrified. And it was already a little half written. It was half written. I started last year. I had a skeleton, which Janet, our friend who's a theater expert, said, this is great. They're like,
Janet Bixler.
Janet
Shout
Bixler.
out.
She said, some people don't even have a skeleton. I said, oh, my skeleton was on last year. I had the skeleton. She goes, your structure's so solid, right? When she saw what I was doing. Then the date came. And when it was September 7th was the full moon in Pisces. I have Pisces in the midheaven of visibility and career. I was like, how can I turn down an opportunity to stand on the stage by myself and tell my story when there's a full moon on top of my head in the natal chart? I can't do that, right? And it was also a sacred day of Yemaya, who's a West African goddess of the oceans that I love, right? Like, I relate to her. So I was like, this is a sign, girl. You need to do it. So then I accepted my fate. But then I'm going to tell you I did things. So I'm getting to the answer of the question. But I did the things. I started procrastinating. I started watching Love is Blind. I started watching Love is Blind in Argentino. I started loving. And I was like.
That's not procrastination. That's research.
Oh, yeah. I do say that. I tell my husband that when he's like, you're too smart to watch that. So I went through all that. And one day I was like, Vanessa, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm procrastinating. I'm terrified. I'm like, okay, be with your feelings. So I wept and I cried, and then I sat there and started doing it. My practice was to write every day. I think it was 2 months before. I'm going to tell you that I rewrote it till 2 days before.
Yeah.
And I'm rewriting it now. And because I didn't make space for the laughter, I didn't make space for my improv. And then I am really telling the truth here. I cried every time I worked. I was literally on my laptop. Like this, and I would stop, blow my nose. And my husband sometimes would walk in and see me, and I would just cry and cry and cry. Because I was in the process of remembering. And then I had to choose what memory. There's so much. I could do a whole show on one person.
Yeah.
And I had 4 people plus me. And history I wanted to add about Argentina. So I talked about things that people, because I had a little red rug, and it was a little TED Talk about what happened to the Afro-Argentines in Argentina. Because in the 1800s, half the population was black due to slavery. And what laws were put in and what happened. High population of native people, of indigenous people. What happened? And I've always been intrigued with that because I know that I'm mixed, as light as I am, and I know that my grandmother's indigenous. So I was like, well, what happened, and why do people lie and say Argentina's so white, right? But there are laws that made it white, that only allowed certain migration. And so as I did research, as I put things together, I just kept crying and this and that. And then it got to a point, and terrified. I wanted to quit. I just want to, I didn't talk about it to many people. My therapist, hi. And finally I got to the point where I added music, and it was me. And I was like, but that's also scary. It's you. You rewrote it. It's not improv. What if people don't get it? What if people think you're weird? what if people are like, I'm not Latina, I'm not going to go, you know? But my goal was that anybody who had a family could recognize themselves in that. So that was my routine. And then I think 3 weeks before, I just listened to my music list, and I would dance to the opening a lot. And I actually turned my dining room into a studio. I moved the table to the corner. I had a mirror, and I was dancing in front of it. I was dancing with the veils. So I brought back a little bit of belly dance, and then I kept adding things till about 3 days before. And so that's what it was. But I wasn't comfortable being alone on stage till 2 days before. And the day that I woke up, I was fine. And then when I did it, I was overjoyed. And I said, this is where I'm meant to be. Like, I knew. And it was like, it was your story. Even if you didn't have an iPad, you'd be able to tell it. I mean, it would be too long, but, you know. So that was really the routine. I listened to the music. I did meditate. I took walks. I danced a lot. But I cried a lot. And in that crying, I kept saying, I'm releasing ancestral weight. You know, that's what I was saying.
And what you're doing is you're digging into your personal history.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and dramatizing them, because my grandmother never walked around with, really, that I ever saw. Well, she did have one red flower, but at one point I put my hair up, like flamenco style, put 2 red flowers that were sitting in her chair, because I had 4 chairs, and each of the 4 chairs I had items that belonged to the character. And, sorry. And then I
whip my hair back and forth.
I whip my hair back and forth. And then I put this shawl that's Spanish, and I'm like, and then the Spanish music comes on, and I had to learn a little, you know, and I was a little like, oh my God, I haven't done flamenco in years. My sister's like, bitch, that shit's in your blood. I'm like, and I said, my grandmother didn't walk around like this, but she had so many gypsy Spanish dolls in her room. And I always felt like they were a secret part of her, because she had to be calm and modest. And so it was deep, and I cried a lot, but it was good. And I thought I was going to cry on stage, but I cried so much before that by the time I was on stage, I didn't. But to me, I love it, and I can't wait to do it again. And I think anybody who ever wants to do a one-woman show or one-man show or one-person show should really do it, because it's healing. And what I found, and this is what I told my husband and I told a couple friends, I said, if people laugh and they cry and they walk away questioning the shit they heard in their family, the stories that maybe they thought were true and that they need to break right now or they have broken, I've done my job. And that's what happened. And so, and my friend Janet Bixler, who we're shouting at again, when she saw part of the show, she's like, you know that this is only part 1, right? Because you just did your ancestors. You've got to do you now. Yeah. And I was like, oh God, I'm gonna cry some more. So, but I'll tell you, it was like it's a full circle moment, because I wanted to do it as a teenager, but I couldn't have done it as a teacher. I know I couldn't have. I wasn't ready to be myself fully. Yeah. I think when you do a one-person show, because she says there's no pretense in your show. She saw half of it before she saw it. She goes, sometimes one-person shows can be pretentious. She goes, what I see is completely who you really actually are. Talking to the audience, telling the story, becoming a character, taking off the character. And I was happy about that, because it's like, how do you get to that moment of authenticity? A whole lot of living. And I think in a society that downplays aging, well, I hope aging gives us authenticity, if nothing else.
Yeah. I will say this, the older I get, the less I give a shit.
Right.
And I give a lot of shit.
Yeah,
I care deeply about many things, but I care a lot less about the things that don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was and I'd love to know, because mine was like, wake up, pray, do work, cry, write, rinse, repeat. I cried a lot. And Ilhan couldn't believe it. He was like, that's my husband. He was like, I'm hearing you sobbing in the living room, But that's I wasn't intense. Sobbing when I was doing the parts.
Yeah.
And then I think that we have license. So I also did my reader, and my reader's Dominican. So I had merengue on. But when I'm doing that, I go and I put a turban on. She did not wear a turban in real life, which I talked about in the show. And she used to read my cup. So I get the kettle and I pour the cup, and I'm dancing though with the cup, and I'm going to pretending to read people in the audience, and then I'm like ding ding ding, you know, and doing all this drama and thing. She was such a serious person, but one moment I caught her in her kitchen. She had a turban on. She took it off when I came in, and she was serving the coffee, and there was merengue, and she was like, and doing her thing. And then it went away when I came in, and I'm like, yo, girl, Senora Mari.
You got a glimpse of who she really was.
And I put it into the show.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Yeah.
But I think we have to be, like, open with any art, I think. Maybe film is the most difficult because you need your shots to add and release. Mm-hmm. But that's why I said I couldn't have done it without improv. And I want to know for you, like, when you were, because this is a long project that you've been working on, River City Stories. What was your routine? Because there's different phases. There's the creating it, the writing it.
Yeah.
There's starting to shoot it. Like, what was your routine with the writing? What was your routine with the actual shooting?
Well, you've heard my whole spiel about how you make a movie 3 times.
Yes,
when
yes.
you write it, when you shoot it, when you edit it. I mean, the original thing, because in terms of the writing, we split it up between me and my dear friend and my partner, Paul Hood, my partner in art, Paul Hood. But in terms of writing, like, the scripts that I did, like my stories, they are kind of deeply personal. None of them are drawn directly from my experiences in life or even in journalism, but pieces of them are. So, for example, there's one of the memorable lines in Nightlight, the story of the young mother who lost her kid to gun violence. You know, when she says, "Fuck this city," you know, there ain't no love in this city.
Oh my God, such a deep moment.
Like, that line was taken, not quite verbatim, but was taken very closely from a line that I heard as a journalist covering and the aftermath of an incident of gun violence here in this city that we're currently talking in, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. But I also weaved in, like, I don't want to give all of the examples because they're myriad, but I take myself, pieces of my family, and they inform everything that I do. I think that's true of everyone. Mm-hmm. But in terms of my process of creating these stories, when I'm writing a character, I inhabit that character. I live, I don't want to say vicariously, because it's not like I take joy in what they're going through, but I try to put myself in their shoes as I'm writing, especially the dialogue. You know, what would this character, I ask myself, what would this character think of what's happening? You know, what's happening with their family, what's happening in this scene, how would they respond? And I it's hard to describe, but I kind of try to put myself in each of those characters. And I do strive to, I'm a citizen of the world. It sounds really highfalutin, but like, when I'm moving through the world, I try to be a fly on the wall. This is kind of where my journalism training comes in. I like to observe little tics that people have. I observe kind of the vagaries of language, you know, the way someone might talk differently when they're under stress versus when they're in a relaxed moment, when they're comfortable with their partner, with their romantic love interest, versus, you know, the way they are on the job. Like, I like to observe that, and I kind of distill that into even just the scripts. You'll notice that I try not to tell actors how to play a scene.
That's true. In
the script, but I do, you know, in the language of the dialogue and in, you know, the setups, there is a lot of detail about what's going on. And in the dialogue, I try to kind of build it around a rhythm so that you understand the mental state without me like forcing an actor to like adhere to I never. I've seen some scripts where writers are like, the dialogue is like, it's the character name, comma, Riley. I've never understood Wryly. I've never understood how you Riley say something. Like I understand it on an intellectual level, but I don't think it's useful in a script.
I agree.
But so that's a long way of answering that question. But like there's a piece of me in every character that I've ever written, because I try to understand where those characters are coming from. And some of it is inspired by real life people that I've kind of known and seen, but it's never a one-to-one thing. Right. It's like I might take one trait or one situation, something that I observed once, years ago, and it's like, oh, I think this fits here.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, and I love that whole thing about putting part of yourself in everything that you write. Can we avoid as artists putting part of ourselves? We really can't.
No. And it's almost a fool's errand to claim that you don't. Right. Because each of us has a specific worldview that's informed by everything that's happened to us.
Yeah.
And where I come from with that too is the next step is, with that in mind, we must always question our priors, our assumptions, the biases that we bring to everything that we do. Yeah. We have to name them and be comfortable acknowledging them, because we only see, this like narrow band of the world. There's often so much that we don't see, or if we do see it, we ignore it.
There's only so much our poor human being mind can take in. We're already overwhelmed with social media and the news.
Yeah.
But it is true, and we see it through our own lens, and we see it through a lens of triggers and traumas and dreams and pains and losses and hopes and mindsets and heart sets. So it's true. I love it. But I will say this as I'm hearing you speak. I think one of the greatest gifts that, I don't know if I've said this before, coming to Harrisburg and being able to work and also enjoy more of my life. Where in New York, I always made it to go back and do things, like be able to direct a play, do something, perform in a band, do whatever. But this has been consistent now 8.5 years. And it's only growing, right? So it's all I said I'm an unpaid actor right now. I said that's my part-time job, but it's so good. It's so good. And we've been paid a little bit here and there with Los Complicados, but it's a small it's stipend, and I'm glad for it. I don't do it for the money. I do it for the growth. But to understand at this point in my life that I do everything so much that it is now like living, like a living, breathing practice. And I think that's such a blessing, and it gives us a confidence, because I think if we know we can draw, but we only draw every 5 years, we don't feel like we're artists, But I think that when we're constantly like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do a movie, I'm going to do that, I'm going to try that, I'm going to do this, I'm writing something. What a blessing to be able to incorporate art in everything that we do every day in some way, shape, or form. Right? And not that we're doing improv every day, but even today we're getting to communicate on something that we care about together and have experience and have lived and, gone through and in our different ways. But we've been performing, 6 years together, at least. So I don't know. I'm always like, get ye a hobby. But I'm like...
there's something poignant in the idea that all of these really disparate, the diverse collective of artists...
Yeah.
Who are all on their own kind of growth trajectory.
Yes.
Like when I think about how many people are involved in River City Stories, for example, we're talking about probably like 120 or more people in total.
Oh my God.
Between everyone who's pitched in one capacity or another. And that list is growing as we wrap up the process. But like all of these people are kind of on their own growth trajectory. They're all on their own separate journey. And we've intersected at this moment in time and shared this magical experience together. And for me, part of what makes this kind of poignant, and it feels like for me in the last 6 to 8 years, I've been so much more prolific in terms of my creative outlets. I compare that to where I came from when I was a kid, and my world felt so small. It was a narrow band of what felt possible. And here, I kind of plugged into this community and it started with improv, to kind of take it back full circle.
Yeah.
Like I started doing improv, I think in 2018 I think it was 2018 or 2017. And improv kind of opened up, it unlocked a piece of me that had kind of struggled for decades. Like I had written a bunch of short stories, I'd gotten some of them published. I talked about wanting to do movies, and had written little bits of scripts, but I'd never actually committed to finishing any of them, and certainly not producing them, not making them. When I started doing improv, I plugged into this existing community. I made friends with people who, for whom they were just open-minded.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, why not? I'll help you make a short film over a weekend. And gradually, one piece at a time, I developed this whole network of just cool people who are interested in doing weird things together. And I'll help out on this person's project, and they'll help me out with mine, and I'm sure that this exists elsewhere. I'm sure that it is not just a Harrisburg thing, but it is something deeply special to be a part of.
It is, and that's why, when that person said they had left improv because of this, because of that, and I'm like, that's part of it. Like, you have to go through the pain of playing with people that you don't know, the pain of failing, the pain of not being as good as you think you are in your brain to actually be good and better than you think you can be.
Yeah.
Like, you have to. And I find it so special. And you said 6 to 8 years. I would say I got here in 2017. I got to Harrisburg in 2017 and started at the Harrisburg Improv Theatre because I'm like, I'm going to go crazy. I work from home. I don't know anybody but my husband and my stepdaughter. And first it was a little uncomfortable, but as time went on, I just kept giving myself more and more and more permission. More and more permission to not be the one who holds it together. More and more permission to not feel like I had a responsibility. And I do, because we all have each other's back. But what I mean is really understanding I'm a newbie. I give myself full permission to be a beginner. There is no pressure on me except for me to try to be funny.
Yeah.
And the more I get out there and then not in the thinking space, like you said, you don't even remember because you're just reacting and moving and flowing, the greater freedom I feel, the more I'm like, oh shit, did we just do that? Because some of our, and you speaking about musical improv, like people have really talked about our shows for a long time.
Yeah.
And been like, you guys are crazy.
I've run into random strangers who are like, oh yeah, I saw the Offbeats. I was like, wow. Like they were genuinely impressed at this crazy thing that we do.
Yeah.
there's a concept. It is not a Wally original, but it's one that I have kind of absorbed and I live by. The more you do hard things, the easier it becomes to do hard things.
I love that. Is it Brene Brown?
It might be, actually.
Who knows?
Brene Brown is very wise. It might be a Brene Brown.
I'm not sure, or maybe she took it and wrapped it around, but who knows? But maybe, but I love that you said that, because that is true. I think our tolerance for shame, no, I'm kidding. Our tolerance for being ridiculous grows. Do you know that I wrote a bio and I couldn't believe that they read it? And then I'm like, oh my God, I wrote that. I wrote something where I said I was in my payaso era, which means my clown era. And I went to do an applied improv workshop at the Penn State Office of Diversity and Inclusivity. And when she said that, I'm like, did I really write that and send it? Like, what mood was I in when I wrote that, And I usually know my bios stay very stable, but that one, but I was like, you may be wondering what payaso means. I'm going to translate that for you. Clown. So this is a big, I was like, that is a big leap. I was like, the responsible one, the peaceful one, this one, the grounded. No, now I'm a clown. But I love it. I love it. And at one point, and you know who said it? One of the girls from Los Complicados, Carolina, shout out. We were talking, we were worried about it. She goes, look, we're just a bunch of payasos, she said. So we just have to get over ourselves. And she's like, she's even doing a Harold, right? So she's very much a beginner in this Latino improv team. And I was like, I love that. We're just payasos. We're just clowns. And it just stayed with me. And I was like, what a freedom to give yourself as an adult when you're still adulting and carrying on your career and your job and your life and your relationships with all the difficulty, and you're managing your health. I mean, things, come up. To actually have a space in your life where you can be a clown. Yeah. You can be as silly as you were when you were a kid, with people who want to be in that backyard play with you.
And it does. It opens a universe of possibilities, because if you can be a clown and try something crazy in this environment, then it removes some of the friction to experiment and do something interesting in other environments. Yeah. You realize that in many ways the things that are holding you back are inventions.
Oh yeah.
It's restrictions that you put on yourself. We've talked about this many times, but they're the restrictions you put on yourself.
I love that.
Or that you're holding on to that someone else put on you. But that person's gone. I know. They don't have any sway over you anymore.
And I love what you said, because you said you were talking about film, you were talking about things. I went from regular improv to musical improv pretty fast because I loved it. Cosmic Trash, finally having the courage to make fun of kind of my arena. I would have never done that, even 8 years ago, 10 years ago, because I was like, I will be respectful of what I believe in. But it's like, girl, laugh at yourself. Yes. Laugh at this bullshit.
Yes.
But I couldn't. I know in my heart I would have been, my past self was insulted for me. But I'm like, get over it, right? I'm like, girl, here's some holy water. Just, cleanse yourself. Here's a crystal. I get to laugh at the bullshit that comes along with that sector and that arena, and make people laugh, even though there's truths in it. Because you've watched, I think, at least the first one in 2023. I know you were in the audience, and maybe in 2024 you were there with the musical improv, I think. And Lisa was rapping, right? Yep. And my throat was dying, and I was praying to God to just give me a voice, and then it died after. And then the tarot cards come alive. Those were things in my mind that I was like, I want to do a show, but I can't do it at the hit. I want to do a show where ancestors come alive, and there's an inner child. Right, and I wanted to jump and do cartwheels on the stage, and there was Amandine, and
Cosmic Trash is it is integrating the many parts of who you are.
Yes.
Into one show.
Yes.
And recruiting a bunch of other clowns to join you.
Yes. And then when people were on it, there were 9 women on the stage, and I wanted to be just women the first year. And that dream came true. And we sold out. The second year we came back, then we added some men, and they sang in all the parts. And then I was like, well, what else? I was like, I'd love to be in a movie. Then you call, right? And then now more people. Now I did 2 movies. Hello. And then, one woman show, I didn't do it. So as you said, it's a portal, it's a doorway, it's an initiation, it's a practice. where the braver the more you do hard things, the easier it gets to do hard things. Where you're like, why not? And now I'm like, oh my cosmic trash series. I'm scared. I'm terrified. Right? Like, how can I even edit that? Oh my God, what am I gonna do? But because everything else has come before, building towards it, it's terrifying too. But there's also a whole bunch of excitement.
Yeah.
So.
We're just clowns.
We're just clowns.
We're just clowns operating out here.
Yeah.
Just trying new things.
You know, we be clowns. So,
What's the Spanish word again?
Payaso.
Payasos.
Yeah. Payasos. Yeah. Payasos.
I am so glad that we get to be payasos together.
Me too. Oh my God. So good. And I just want to thank you again on camera. Thank you for inviting me to do River City Stories, because it brought a part of me alive and it invited me to touch. You know, when I saw myself on screen, I don't want to cry, but I might. And I know you're trying to close off the series, and now I'm starting it again. Just want to say this part, because I want to thank you. When I saw myself on screen, and I saw the whole thing, and I saw Walk, and I saw all of it, and it was so beautiful, I was like, I knew I had that in me, but I couldn't do it for so long. So it was such a moment for me, and I didn't get to share that with you because we were running around being payasos and everything and for everyone. But I was like literally like with a tissue. I gotta go sing in the Offbeats.
Vanessa,
but, yeah.
I need to hug you.
I love you. Oh my God,
I
love you. But what it was a recognition of my abilities, and it's not arrogance. I know I could do that. I know I could go that deep. Be that brave, you know, and knowing for a long time, and finally having a chance to do it. So thank you for that, because it just really, it was like a whole piece from the unit, like a soul piece that had been left. We talk about soul retrieval also in indigenous practices. It's like a part of me had, and it went whoosh. Okay, came back. We're payasos, but we're healing payasos, so thank you.
Thank you. All right, one more hug.
Okay.
Come on.
Yay! Shut up now. We're going to keep talking.
We could talk for another 5 hours.
I know.
Alas, I will probably run out of space on my SD card. Well, with all that said, my door is open, and the kitty cat has joined us. Hey. Come on.
Cute. She's so cute.
Aww.
Hi. Hi, baby. You're beautiful. Oh, what a cute little face.
This is a kitty cat break.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining Cinema Double Shot and
the Biz Bruja podcast.
It's a crossover episode, another one.
Yay!
Please, everyone, be kind to each other.